what happened when, what is in the present, the entrance, the recording, the physical entrance, or beginning of a story in our minds. For us, this is no magic, because we are aware of what makes it possible. We can relate with it. But imagine a person, say from 2000 BC. For this, for that person, this is a grand magic. So what is the difference? Our mind constructs reality based on conventions it understands, or conventions it is made to understand. Did you imagine something? Do you think there is some meaning to all of this? Do you feel there is an underlying logic which is running underneath of this? Do you feel a sensation of a relationship? All that and much more we perceived as I brought your attention to these glasses. That is what we call act of reading. You would have imagined a story, a love story, a boy and a girl. Or you would have imagined two friends in their childhood. Or you would have imagined two people thrown out of their community for some big crime they have done. Or you would have just seen two glasses on a table with light filtering through them and they are filled with air. All that is valid. The point is we all constantly read something. And that reading is never single-dimensional. There is always multiple. There is physical, psychological, emotional, sensorial, logical, and much more, all packed in this act called reading. Now, I created a framework with these glasses and invited you to join me to its logic. The framework set you free to create the rest of it. You created characters, stories. A lot of thoughts would have emerged in your mind. Images would have popped up. You might have responded physically with a sigh or a gesture. And that is what we call act of writing or act of creating. I created with these glasses and you in your mind. Both of these acts are an integral part of our experience. And as theater artists, we work through them, we use them. And the beauty is, all of us do it all the time, without any conscious effort. Like breathing. We imagine, and each imagination results into a creation. Creation of a thought, creation of an idea, creation of a relationship, creation of a feeling, creation of something constantly. You might have created right now something in your mind. And that is the thrill to create our own world and constantly look at what is getting created. Through creation or engagement with art, we work throughout these sensibilities, which is reading and writing sensibilities of our mind. So we can always achieve these states, irrespective of engaging with art or not, because art is all around us. Every part of our life has art. What artists do is bring our attention to it, help us navigate through intricacies of it so that we can create something out of it like an experience or an understanding of life. This role of art is most important to me as artist, where art let the audience free their imagination and other things like argument, debate, meaning, stories follow it. Now I would like to bring your attention to this. A mobile phone, an important gadget in our today's life. This is very, very influential. And why is it influential? If you think about it, somehow it is symbolic to our current multicultural, globalized, hyper-connected society. Parts of it were created or brought together in different regions of the world. It is developed by people of different cultural backgrounds. By using this, we impact many, many lives all around the world. And it is influencing us all the time in many ways. For example, the color tones or the shape or size of icons which are used in this phone might not be in line with my cultural association with those colors or symbols. The timing, the transition between switching off apps might not be in tune with my pace of life. It might be abrupt, it might be slow, and it is going to impact my behavior. More I engage with technology, more aspects of it is going to engage and impact my behavior and my interaction with society. To a point that it shapes my thoughts and actions. With all these direct and indirect influences on each other, the question is, how are we going to coexist? Now, for any two people to coexist, and then let's scale it to larger global society, they need to know each other's stories. So the way we are going to formulate these stories, the way we are going to engage with these stories needs to be considered very carefully. Because I really want to tell you something from my point of view. I would like you to understand this, get the same perspective, instead of looking at it from different point of views. And that brings me to two most important things about hyperconnectivity. And with this hyperconnectivity, we are anyway sending out so many messages out in the world with access of creation to every one of us. So the two important points which I want to highlight, one is that our access to reality is getting limited to fewer mediums. And two, we really need to articulate our information with more artistic sensibility. Now let's take it one by one. With increase in our access to reality through technology, we are shifting to fewer mediums, which will impact our enrichment of our ability to read the world in a more complex way. And hence there is a need to translate everything to my medium, or to simplify it. Simplify as good and bad, simplify as you and me, simplify as they are like that and we are like this, and many more things. And that is going to only increase the friction. One of the ways we can handle this is by creating a culture where each individual is driven towards expanding and bringing flexibility to this extended idea of reading and writing through art, through interaction, through travel, or through any experiential medium. Now, with respect to my second point regarding articulation, from theater, what we understand is that I don't only connect with everything through information about it, from aesthetic, from artistic point of view. That is how I connect with something, even if I don't know any information about it. The form, we need a form, a shape, a container to receive any kind of content. A sentence framed in a language acquires a form. A piece of music composed acquires a different form. The form helps us navigate through reality of a world. It expands, it allows us to receive the content, experience the content, and opens up different ways of looking at the world. And that is where we come into picture, the artists, because we unfold various ways of seeing the same world. So as artist point of view, from artists' understanding of this context of hyperconnectivity, what I believe is we really need to look at content as well as form in such a way that we create enough space for audience to read the work, read its forces and logics, read its politics and personal, its familiarity and alienation in real space and time, in an event called theater, so that when they leave the theater, they are transformed, not in the direction what artists wanted them to be, but through personal act of reading and writing while encountering the work. Theater embraces various forms of expression as well as realities. As artists, we should continue to keep discovering newer ways of expression and relook at the existing ones so that they become relevant and reflecting of our current times. We need to prioritize art which allows breathing and creating space for audience. And this is not an original idea. It has always existed. All I am doing is bringing your attention to it so that you can notice it, think about it, and engage with it. When I say theater of our hyper-connected reality, I define theater as a space where an articulated work exists for a specified length of time. It can be art, science, philosophy, any articulated work, so that we can receive the experience of it. And at the same time, it should prepare us to read and write the theatrics, the logics of this complicated world. As a last note, I would like to bring your attention to the point that we are creating a fragile world. Our engagement with art is a necessary space for us to dive into, to immerse into, to discover and rediscover the experience of what it is to be human. Thank you.